Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Amy Fitterer, Executive Director of DanceUSA.
Good evening. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I know it's so exciting to be here and to see all of your colleagues. You have flown in from all over the country, and some of you are from beyond the United States. So I thank you so much for coming, and if you are willing and able to finish up and take a seat, we have a very special program for you. Each year, DanceUSA has been working to constantly evolve our annual conference to be responsive to the local community. So tonight's event is really due to the brilliant thinking of our host committee. We were here touring around the venues in Minneapolis, and in conversation with the host committee co-chairs, the idea came, why don't we combine the honors celebration with our opening night celebration and just make it one big old party? So thanks for that idea. The honors is really a wonderful tribute from colleagues to colleagues. Please take time, if you have, to look at the program for tonight. It lists the previous honorees. We have amazing dance legends who have been recipients of the Ernie Award and the Honors Award and the Community Champion Award. The way that the awards are selected is that we do a call for nominations to the membership, and actually through social media, so we do get responses from people outside of the membership. Our awards committee, which is chaired by Harris Ferris of Pittsburgh Ballet, gets together and we review all of the nominations. And then as three individuals for the Ernie Award and for the Honors Award is presented to the full Board of Trustees at our November board meeting each year. There is anonymous vote, and tonight's recipients are the ones who came in first place. So this is really an amazing tribute where the peers have selected their peers for their amazing contributions to the field. I would like to take a moment and acknowledge the three co-chairs of our host committee and the entire host committee. The co-chairs are Aparna Ramaswamy of Ragamala Dance, George Sutton of James Sewell Ballet, and Sarah Thompson of Northrop. If all the host committee members could please stand up. Some of them have their badges on, and you will be able to see that they have a ribbon. If not, please find them throughout the conference and thank them. It is not an easy job to be on the host committee, and they have worked tirelessly for over a year to pull this off. We also have with us tonight some very special guests. We would not be able to pull off the honor celebration, or really the entire conference, without our sponsors. In particular, for tonight's event, we have the Target and DeWitt Stern Group, a title sponsor, and you will be hearing from them momentarily. I would like to offer, if we could have a round of applause for these two amazing sponsors of tonight's event. In addition, I would like to acknowledge that we have individuals here from the Jerome Foundation who supported us with a 50th anniversary grant, the McKnight Foundation, the Minnesota Arts Board, and I would also like to acknowledge the full DanceUSA Board of Trustees who are here tonight. So with that, I would like to introduce Steve Pincus. He's the managing director of the DeWitt Group. And some of you might not know that the DeWitt Group has been a long-term partner with dance companies and dance presenters all across the United States. So it's really fantastic for us to be working closely with them. I'd also like to acknowledge that tonight we also have Leisha Ward from Target. And Target, since 1946, has given 5% of profits, which today equals more than $4 million per week to communities, and they are on track to give $1 billion for education by 2015. So with that, Steve Pincus from the DeWitt Stern Group.
Wow, this is pretty amazing. Someone said to me at DeWitt, look, just go to Minneapolis and say a few words, there'll just be a few people there. This is amazing. DeWitt has been in business now, this is our 115th year. We're quite proud of that. And in all those 115 years, we've had the opportunity and pleasure of supporting the arts, both visual and performing arts, and in particular, we have a special place in our heart for dance companies. Our clients include New York City Ballet and San Francisco Ballet and Paul Taylor, the American Ballet Theater, the Joyce Theater, Alvin Ailey, and we're proud to be part of that group. I've read the mission statement, and it hit home with me what DanceUSA is trying to do, and we've been involved with DanceUSA now for a number of years and continue to support that, and we will continue to support that in the future. So hopefully we'll see everyone in Miami, I believe, next year. Thank you so much.
Please welcome Laisha Ward, President of Community Relations at Target Corporation.
Good evening. How are you? Great. I'm thrilled that the weather's cooperating, and I wish I could say it's always like this in Minnesota, but it's not. So I think that it's God saying that He likes dance too, right? And we're thrilled that you're here and honored to be able to support you. I actually live in this neighborhood, so you're in my hood. So it sort of feels like you're in my living room, except there is an amazing staff and someone cooking and preparing this meal, which would not happen at my house. But I'm thrilled to be here. Again, I'm Laisha Ward, President of Community Relations for Target, and I'm really blessed to be here with an amazing group of leaders from my team, Glenn, Kate, and Tracy. Would you wave to the crowd? Thank you. They're a part of my extraordinary team who bring our commitment to the community, including our commitment to the arts and culture, to life in really large and small towns all across this country where we operate Target stores. So I really appreciate all that they do and the passion that they bring to this work. We're thrilled to have you here in Minnesota, a state where the arts and culture truly do come alive and have been an intimate and integral part of life here for a very, very long time. It is a place that I think supports art and culture across a variety of disciplines and genres, including dance. There's a really rich and vibrant dance community here that I know you're all well aware of, but it's a treasure and it's a gem that I think we have done our best to lift up and celebrate, but we'll continue to do more of. And by the very nature of you all being here, I think it sort of celebrates that tradition and gives us an opportunity to build on the stories that we all have that are important to tell about the power of the arts and dance in particular, and to take those back into the communities where you all live, work, play, and holiday, so that people really do think about the arts and dance as a part of their everyday life. I'd like to thank DanceUSA and the host committee who have worked tirelessly to make this event successful. Again, to the co-chairs, George, Sarah, and Aparna, who were mentioned earlier. Our gratitude to you. I know it's a ton of work on top of your day job, but it's important. So I want to thank you for your service and your commitment, not only to the Minneapolis arts and cultural community, but to, I'd say, the global art and cultural community by serving in that capacity. So thank you for your leadership. Our broader creative community here is increasingly diverse and thriving and rich, quite frankly, in its support of art, design, and culture. And I think it's really important to think about all the things that the arts bring to a community, including its contributions to successful economies. It brings thought leadership, I think, to inform a variety of things from city planning and design to public policy, and much, much more. When I arrived, barely on time, running from the office, engaged briefly in a conversation with a few of your board members, in fact, and before I even had a chance to take a sip of wine, they were like, so tell us about some of the top issues you think about and how that applies to the art and cultural community. I was like, but lovely conversation, and quite frankly inspired me, engaged me, and energized me to see that your board and members are thoughtful and intelligent and engaged and passionate about telling the story about the power, potential, and impact of the arts and culture. Like, that's what I want to see when I'm in a room like this, people who believe in the work and want to make the work better so that this work thrives and survives, and quite frankly is funded and supported in many, many ways. Quickly, one of the things that I shared with them as I think about issues that the arts and cultural community and dance should be thinking about, it was around this sense of making the case for the relevance of the arts and culture. I know that that sounds in some ways annoying and frustrating. Shouldn't everyone understand and get it? But this idea of remaining relevant is something that we all have to work at on an ongoing basis, certainly something that we do in a business context literally on a daily basis. How do we earn the love and respect of our guests or consumers every day? You don't take it for granted. You have to earn that every day. So this idea, as we look at trends around people wanting to feel connected to community, to belong and be a part of something that's bigger than themselves, transcends consumers in the marketplace. It also connects to the work that you're doing in the arts and culture, and certainly relevant to the dance community. How do we make sure that with the growing population of millennials, the growing populations of communities of color, particularly with the growth in the Latino community, how does this work become more relevant? How do we make sure that this work is connecting to those that represent the diversity of the communities that we have in this country and that are a part of a global community? How do we also understand the power and connectivity that comes through technology? What do we do to understand, embrace, and really deal with the convergence of the physical and digital in a way that allows us to create experiences that are more relevant for audiences today? And how do we also wrestle with this really interesting thing around content creation? You know, back in the day, we created the content, people came, they thought it was great, they thought we were great, and it was all good. Well, today people create their own content. They create what they want as well. So this idea of marrying our content creation with the audience's content creation and expectation is a really provocative and challenging thing to address and think about and bring into, I think, your strategic planning, but something that I hope that you'll walk away thinking about, because it creates a new pathway for creation of work, engagement in the work, relevance in the work, and I think sustainability and relevance in the work that is really important if we believe in this and want it to continue to be a part of the legacy and the story for generations to come. I would tell you that for us, we do still believe that art for art's sake matters, right? At the end of the day, it's about the quality of the work, and we don't forget about the quality of the work. It's important. But we also believe that it's important for us to connect our support of the arts to education. You heard earlier that we're on track to give $1 billion to education by the end of 2015. We believe that all children deserve a quality education regardless of race or socioeconomic status. It's a pathway into economic opportunity. And we think the arts are a part of that solution. And so we look to connect that work in a really meaningful way. I even love when you've been hearing about STEM. STEM has added an A. It's, includes art and culture. So even thinking about how you engage in that growing conversation creates an opportunity to get people to think about the arts very differently and the power and the impact of the arts. And I think, too, it exposes people to different traditions, culture, and points of view, which is really important as the sort of construct of the fabric of the American life and global life shift. The arts become, I think, a window to have the right kind of conversation about what it means to be a global citizen. So we can own and claim that as lovers of and keepers of the arts. A brief story before I sit down. I would say that as a little girl, I grew up in a really little town, a rural town in Indiana. Are there any people from Indiana in the room? Ah! Hey, girl. I am a Hoosier. Yes. You're legit. You knew what to say even. It's awesome. So I grew up in a little town, Fountain City, Indiana. Nobody's ever heard of it. I say it like you heard of it, and it's not true. Little town of 700 people. And in this little town of 700 people, we didn't even live in the town. We lived outside of the town. How many crosses do little black girls have to bear? Because, and I say that jokingly now, but it was a really tough place for me to grow up, if I'm being candid now that I'm older and have had a sip of wine. I was the only kid of color in my class from first grade until I graduated from high school. It was really hard. I was this big when I was like 9. It grew fast. It was just like really like one thing after another. And it was isolating. We got 4 TV stations. That's how old I am. Back in the day, no cable. My parents got cable 4 years ago. Swear to God. True story. And one of those 4 stations was PBS. And I recall perched on a coffee table as a little girl, mesmerized, and I'm watching the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater on TV. There was a performance piece called A Song for You, a Donny Hathaway piece. There was a single dancer, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like perched on the couch, arms back. I was the only person in the room. And I even now feel my heartbeat. I was like, there is this world bigger than me. There is this experience that I somehow felt connected to, and I was little, because quite frankly, I wasn't quite sure what I was connecting to. As a child, I didn't completely understand the nuances of the piece, but what I knew was that the arts were telling really powerful stories, and it drew me into an experience that I wanted to know more about. There was something about the music and the movement and looking at the audience, and in this little town on this little dirt road where I felt really alone, I felt connected to something that moved me and changed me. I remember it to this day. I'd never been to an arts performance. I can't even explain it now. But what I can say to you as artists, you are the stewards of hopes and dreams and aspirations and potential, and little girls like me sitting in a place who can think about things bigger than themselves that don't quite make sense, that give you courage and confidence and just the ability to get up and keep doing it again and explore and be curious and want to see what this thing is about, this thing called life. And the arts creates a window, I think, into conversations, into addressing really challenging social issues, into just creating what I call almost a history of who we've been, who we are, and who we'll be. And I was connected to that through this one experience on PBS, and it forever changed me. And I still love Alvin Ailey to this day, but my interest in the arts expanded. Now, it doesn't mean I became an art history major. We do this work. I could never write a dissertation on it. I'm still on a journey to understand it, but I think at a really sort of simple and human level, because of my early exposure to it, I believe in what it can do for humanity and for people of all backgrounds, particularly across income disparity that is growing increasingly, across cultural differences. There is a power in the arts and in dance that we don't claim. So I would just encourage you to be thinking about some of the trends that I talked about, to think about the power in the work, claim it, don't run away from it, harness it, and take advantage of it. We've got a great story to tell. We just need to get better at telling the story and bringing others along for the dance. So with that, I will say again, thank you. Thank you for doing what I clearly know you love. I mean, it's not like, you do this work, you're not getting rich, right? It's like being a teacher. I mean, it's a calling, and you're called to do this. And I want to thank you for that, because we need you to do it. And we are grateful at Target on behalf of the 370,000 team members that we have around the globe grateful to be a part of the journey with you and communities all around this country, and look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing next on stages and in communities in places large and small. And I hope you have a fantastic conference and come back to the Twin Cities. Thanks.
Diane Aldis, Arts Education Specialist at the Perpich Center for Arts Education, to present the 2014 Special Citation Inspiration Award.
Thank you.
In China, the symbol for a teacher is a bell because it rings forever in a student's heart. That reverberation also rings into the wider dance community as students become performers, choreographers, risk takers, and advocates for dance. Starting back at the legendary North High School some 25 years ago, Colleen Callahan's passion for rigorous, aesthetically based dance education inspired many of her students to become performers and choreographers here in Minnesota and beyond. While at North, she began bringing in challenging artists such as Bill T. Jones to push high school students' thinking about what dance could be and that they themselves could be part of that. Dance curator Michelle Steinwald once commented, "This community has amazing dancers, and Colleen's a big part of that." Now teaching at Southwest High School in Minneapolis, Colleen continues to teach the big picture of dance in all of its dimensionality, as she would say. Okay. As one of the founding directors of the Minnesota Dance Educators Coalition, Colleen has tirelessly built synergistic relationships across all strata of dance education: K-12 schools, teaching artists, companies, higher education, community centers, dance studios. She is a fearless advocate for dance. And as an educator activist, she constantly reminds us that we are stronger working together rather than in silos. Her commitment to dance in all of its dimensionality has inspired not only her students, but it has helped shape the entire ecology of dance and performance in Minnesota. The Special Citation for Inspiration goes to someone who has prepared and empowered young dancers to become part of the dance community, Colleen Callahan.
Sort of overwhelming to hear someone talk about you. In fashion, fashion, I don't really have like a scripted speech as beautiful as Diane's. Mostly, I'm thinking about, yesterday I was at a cemetery with my sister. I'm a big genealogist, and so I was, digging up some relatives, so to speak. And I ran into a guy that was mowing the lawn and on a, rider lawnmower, and I stopped to ask him, "How do you like your job?" And he said, "I love it," and went on to talk about what he loved about it. And then, I don't know, I was on this little tip, I guess, and I was in a grocery store, kind of a sweet little one in my neighborhood, and there was another kid that was waiting on me, and I asked him the same question. And he said, "I love it." And he talked about what he loved about it, great hours, people that he worked with were fabulous. And I was so happy about that because I don't want to do those jobs. I want to do the job I'm in, and I love the job I'm in. In September, it will be my 33rd September walking into a situation. And walking into thinking about what it is that will be before me in 2014, the 9th graders, the 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders. And I feel really lucky because it's kind of the bewitching hour for them, where dance sometimes becomes more than just a physical thing. Not that physical isn't enough, but they don't know about the dimensions of it and what it could be for them, and that ideas can come through, and it can be sort of a synergistic experience for them. That's what happened to me when I went to Brigham Young University. Can you believe it? But it's true. Is that me? Am I prompting that? Anyway. So for me, teaching is not perfect. I have some things that don't go well, and I have some successes, but it kind of keeps me humble to realize that, like any good recipe that you have, you're going to try it again tomorrow and maybe change something about it. And anyway, one of my favorite poems that keeps me on, and maybe you've heard of it, it's called Fire by Judy Brown. What makes a fire burn is space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight, can douse the flames almost as surely as a pail of water would. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between, as much as to the wood. When we're able to build open spaces in the same way we've learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and absence of fuel together that make fire possible. We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. I feel like my journey is always to figure out with every student, what do they need? What kinds of things will unlock certain things in them about the love of dance and being an artist and a scholar. I mean, I'm addicted to that as well. And this community is a big part of that for me. So when I know I can't reach somebody, I really feel like I look to the community that's here and say, let me bring in Tony Pierce-Sands. Tony was one of the first people, I think, or Maria Cheng maybe. Let me bring in Pramila, who was the last person I brought in. You know, just people that I know can ignite students in ways that I can't. And I don't pretend that I could. So it is my pleasure to just be in this community, and I feel very humbled about this award. I feel everyone should be awarded. Everyone should have a moment where people think about them, and I really appreciate the illumination of that. And I'm grateful and anxious to enter my 33rd year. So thank you.
Peter Bowl, Artistic Director of Pacific Northwest Ballet, to present the 2014 DanceUSA Ernie Award.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here. Before I have the pleasure of speaking about my colleague and friend, D. David Brown, we're going to take a look at a slideshow. you all enjoyed that. For me, it gives me heart palpitations on certain slides, but that's okay, I'm going to be fine. So, often, the greatest strengths of an arts organization can be found offstage, far from the follow spot, never taking a curtain call, leaving the accolades and the ovations for the star. Great art, great dance, doesn't just happen, just as orchids don't just appear. Soil, climate, water, care, the conditions must be right and conducive for the art to blossom. In dance, soil is often marly, with just the right amount of rosin, and there are several point shoes involved and usually a lease negotiation to get the floor. Climate, as you know, is dictated by AGMA, and the outdoor amphitheater in Vail is often too cold after the sun goes down. And be very careful with that hazing effect in the upper room. You know. Water is fair pay for everyone from ballerina to box office, and care is balanced budgets, 401k employee matches, flexible spending accounts, endless labor negotiations, comp tickets, and a really good staff party with a modest year-end surplus. It is for 44 years that D. David Brown has worked tirelessly to ensure that the conditions are right for art to flourish. Under his care, many beautiful orchids have bloomed, and in fact, one just did in Seattle, and we called her Giselle. A dancer with the Boston Ballet who quickly rose to the rank of principal, later serving as Boston Ballet's director of production and general manager before coming to Pacific Northwest Ballet, where David has served as our executive director for the past 14 years. A trustee of the AGMA Retirement Plan and Health Fund, past president of the Washington Arts Alliance, past chair of DanceUSA Managers Council, and chairman of the board for DanceUSA. David has been a true champion of our art form. It has been my honor to work with David for the past 9 years at Pacific Northwest Ballet. David has brought wisdom, experience, and patience to every decision. He leaves the personal aside and puts the institution first. At this point in his career, he's far better at PowerPoint than pointing his feet. I think. I haven't actually checked that. Nor do I want to. He's better at revenue forecasts for Nutcracker than at cracking jokes, but he'll argue with me on that one. He did make me laugh once, though. As he and I hashed through draft 9 of a grueling budget cycle, he looked at me, he looked at his stressed out artistic director, and he said, "Peter, it's only ballet." David, as it so often happens, was right. But dance is our lives, it is our passion, it is our world. And your contribution to that world is profound, lasting, and beyond measure. It gives me great pleasure, on behalf of DanceUSA, to present you with the Ernie Award for your incredible service to our profession. David Brown.
Well, thank you very much. The first Ernie Award was given in 1990, named for Ian Horvath. I knew Ernie, as we called him, and I was there for that very first Ernie Award. And the list of people that have received that, many of them are here tonight, and I hope that they will feel especially proud that they are on that list with others. DanceUSA has been a part of my entire career from 1982 or so, or 83, which was about the first time the managers got together, until, well, today. And so this is a particularly special honor for me. And the thing that I thought every time a manager got up to say something was that They were going to tell me the secret. I'm going to tell you the secret tonight. The secret is there's no secret. There are, however, occasionally trios of wisdom, if you will. One that I recall was Gary Dunning, who was executive director of Houston Ballet at the time. He went on to be at American Ballet Theater and the Big Apple Circus, and he did a lot of things. And when he left Houston, he said to the incoming executive director, always tell the board the truth. The ladies raise the money. And with a small amount of editing because of the mixed company here, don't mess with the ladies. So I came up with 3 more that have ring with certain truth for me, and I thought I would pass them along to you. Our audience pays the bill. Don't piss off your audience. No good deed goes unpunished. Especially, you should remember that in union negotiations. And then when you're negotiating with someone, get them to say a number first. And whatever it is, always say, that's totally impossible, I couldn't possibly do that, and say some number lower. See, now that's probably worth the whole evening. The other thing I've been very interested in, because it's happened to me, and I know from anecdotes that it's happened to many of you here, that often we are thrust into positions of leadership unexpectedly, not of our own fault or of our own volition. Things happen. And one of those people was Teddy Roosevelt, who became the youngest president of the United States at 42 with the assassination of William McKinley. And Teddy was a very interesting guy. He was the first American to win a Nobel Prize for negotiating the end of the Russo-Japanese War. After he served his second term and left the White House in 1912, he had fallen out with the Republicans, and so he created his own party, the Progressive Party, the only party to win 30% of the vote in an election, splitting the Republican vote and allowing Woodrow Wilson to become president. During the campaign for 1912, he was doing a lot of speeches and attending a lot of things, and he was really tired, but he was forging forward. He was on his way to his 6th or 7th speech in a day, and someone shot him. And he looked at it and he said, well, I think I'm okay. And with a bullet lodged in his rib, buffered by the 25 pages of speech that was in his pocket, and his metal eyeglass case, which is at the Smithsonian, he gave the speech anyway. So he did what was necessary, and he stepped up and did what was required at the time. And so his trio was do what you can with what you have where you are. And I think that applies to all of us here. Do what you can. Don't complain that you don't have enough or that you're in the wrong place to do it. Do what you can with what you have where you are. I thank you all very much. You're all very much my friends, and I appreciate all of your passion. Thank you very much.
Jowle Willa Jo Zoller, Founding Artistic Director of Urban Bushwomen, to present the 2014 DanceUSA Honor Award.
Hello, everyone. Before I continue on, I just was remembering that one of my first jobs when I moved to New York was being a receptionist at DeWitt Stern. Hello, DeWitt Stern. How may I be of assistance to you? You were part of the development of my career. It is with great pleasure that we will see this film on the amazing, wonderful, my friend, Liz Lerman. So I'm going to speak from a very personal place about why I love and adore Liz Lerman so much. Liz and I first met in 1985 at an event in Harlem. She thinks it was a benefit. I think it was something else, but we met at this event, and it was on 125th Street in Lenox. And first of all, I was impressed because there was not a lot of white people coming to Harlem at that time, not in 1985. And she was dancing solo and talking, and we were both talking and dancing solo, and so there was an immediate bond, and we've been talking ever since. So I'm very nervous. Liz is my friend, my confidant. We walk on this parallel path together, yet we bring such different histories, and she is an incredible listener and observer of the world and people and what they have to say and their stories and their stories and their stories. If you get a chance to see Liz Lerman's Healing Wars at the arena stage, you will see the power of these stories and who is dancing and who is telling these stories. Every time I see Liz's work, I learn something more, and I'm amazed, and I just feel like I'm so grateful to have this incredible person in my life. And when this term genius is applied to Liz, it's for real. It's for real. She's constantly questioning and thinking, well, how can I, and what if we reimagine? And we really have to look at this because this part is not right. And sometimes that part might be a dance, and sometimes that part might be how the world is functioning, and sometimes that part might be how our arts field is functioning. She calls it out. And she's a truth teller. She speaks truth to power. It is just an incredible honor for me to present this award to the fabulous Liz Lerman in the house, y'all. Act like you know.
Thank you. I hope everybody in the room has a Jawole in their life. I mean that. You know, it's hard to do our work, and it's an amazing thing, and like Colleen, we're all glad we have the job we have. I love that story, Colleen. But when you meet somebody and you can sustain that relationship in our field over time, it's amazing. So Jawole. Thank you. Thank you. I actually have so many people to thank that I thought I would ask you for help. If you would just be willing to turn to each other and say thank you, that will take care of most of it. I'm serious. If you just would thank each other for a minute. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Good job. Good job. I'm thrilled to see Amy stepping up here so beautifully. And really a lot of gratitude to DanceUSA and everything that you attempt to do as the world changes around us and we figure out how to be in the world. Thank you for taking leadership on that. I wanted to actually thank my parents who no longer are on this earth, but I wish you could have known them. My father, just the absolute crazy radical, and my mother, an absolute modernist, and it is to them that I owe everything. But also, I wanted to thank families. I'm lucky enough to have my daughter Anna here with me. Anna, I have to say, when I got pregnant with Anna, I did lose a couple of gigs. And I won't tell you where, but a couple of them were quite prestigious. But at that time, they just didn't want a pregnant choreographer around, actually. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. It's true. Once Anna was born, within 4 months, we were on tour. And I just want to say that it enlightened all of us to have Anna on the road with us until she refused to go anymore. But now she's paying me back. She lives in Cambodia. And so I have to tour to see her. But she's with us. Thank you, Anna. Representing for everybody in the room, our families, who I know put up with so much because of the kind of lives we all live. I think they're lucky to be around us, though. I wished also, I'm not going to name all my teachers, but I wanted to name my first 3 teachers. Ethel Butler, who danced with Graham, was my very first teacher, and I adored class. And one of the things I adored about it is technique. I was 4 and 5 years old, but okay. Technique, and then improvisation for 10 minutes at the end. Who says you can't have it all? Right? And who says we can't live in a world where we can have discipline and practice and technique and creativity and freedom and individual expression? Why would we want to choose between those poles? Why would we ever want to do that? And we happen to be in a field which embraces all of that. We're lucky. I wanted to thank my teacher, Florence West. She lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She studied with Ruth Page, one of the great, I think, unsung heroes of the ballet world. And she also studied with, was amazing. And she studied with Martha Graham, and she had this idea that she called the dance of dimension, and she somehow wanted to bring the 2 forms together. You can see how I became who I became, because there she was, insisting there had to be a way for us to cross the street and visit each other in the way we thought about our work. And I wanted to thank Martha Whitman, who was my teacher at college. You saw her for a brief moment in the clips from Appalachian Spring. She still dances with me. She is extraordinary, and her integrity is a guiding spirit for me. As some of you know, I started teaching dance to old people in 1975 when my mother died. I wanted to make a piece with old people in it because I wanted them to welcome my mother to wherever she had gone. And so it's a long time ago, 1970, it's almost 40 years ago. But it was only 3 months ago when I was describing it to somebody that I said this. And this is the thing that astonishes me, how long it takes to come to understand what you do, or maybe what one's doing. But I said to somebody, I worked in the senior center for 10 years. I said, I taught them to dance, but they taught me how to do it. And that is really what I feel about my teachers, that my teachers are my students. My teachers are the presenters here in this room who put up with all my outlandish ideas where I thought way too big for what I was understanding at the time. You let me make so many mistakes. You taught me how to be a better artist. The funders in the room who decided to agree, as we heard so beautifully from Leisha, just incredible, inspiring speech that makes us be better. And the amazing performers who made their way into the dance exchange and let me work with them. It's no small thing, these relationships. I may have taught them something, but I think they taught me how to do it. And I'm really, really grateful. I have to put my glasses on now. This spring has been a really big spring for me. The Appalachian Spring that you saw, I love that piece of music, and my family played it forever when we were growing up. And then I saw Martha Graham's piece, and I love Martha Graham, but I did not like her Appalachian Spring. I love her, her passion, she's just amazing to me. But her choreography just never struck me as being what that music was. And so all these years I've been carrying that, and this spring I got to make that piece. It's because I have a 10-year relationship with the conductor, Jim Ross. he's trying to understand the classical music world, and I'm trying to understand our world. And 10 years I've gotten to work with him. Jalloway, how many years has it been? It's like 30 years. I want to just say that these long-term relationships make such a difference. There are others of you in this room. Pam and I, we've been working together 12 years now. If you don't have relationships like this in your work life, go find them. And now I'm talking to the young artists in the room. Go find them, make them, find these people who are going to stay with you through the ups and downs of it, because there are way more downs than ups. There is no inoculation. Not even a MacArthur is inoculation from failure, mistakes, no funding, no support. Nothing will inoculate you from that except the people who will believe in you and stay with you and help you. So that part you can create. That part you can do. And finally, I just want to tell you a little bit about Healing Wars. This is a project I got interested in thinking about what happens to people when they come back from war. I didn't mean it to be about my father, although I think now that I've made the piece, I realize that he was in my heart for a lot of it. And I want to tell you about it because, you know, our country's thinking about going back in. We've talked to so many veterans, nurses, people who lived through all these wars that we've been in. And one of the things that I came away from, especially the current wars, was this sense from the people coming back that they really missed three things. In fact, I would say they were almost addicted to the things they were missing. They missed purpose. They had purpose when they're fighting a war. They missed comradeship. They love each other when they're over there. And they miss risk. And then I realized, I'm addicted to the same things. Why else do I do this to myself every time? Go into a project, I don't know how it's going to end, I don't know where the money's going to come from, I don't know how it's going to work, I don't know if the audience is going to like it, I don't know if the dancers are going to like it, I don't know anything. And there I am, addicted to the purpose. We are so fortunate to have purpose in our lives. And you guys, we've got to be sharing that. It's not just ours. We are so lucky to have the kind of working, loving comradeships that go on in our world. I don't want to say it's quite family, but it's close to family. And it's something. And then we have risk. I was on a residency recently. It turns out, I met with the community foundation of this particular city, and the guy who runs that foundation turned to me and he said at one point, you know, artists, you're not just risk averse, you're risk oblivious. In a way, he was right. I think he's right, but I don't think we're risk oblivious enough. I think we can do much more. It's a little hard for me to hear Laisha say, there's art and then there's community. I know I don't know where you are, I can't see you right now, but there you are. You brought it back together in the end, and I was so grateful for that. But I want to say that a lot of times people think of those two things separately. Why is that? Why is that? We actually have the knowledge and the skills and the fortitude and the way to problem solve for so many things. Why aren't we sharing it more? More. And it won't pollute our art. It won't compromise our art. It won't. It will make us better. So I know you've all heard that from me a million times. You know I believe that. I'm going to do it one more time with my hands, which I always do. Okay, here's the art. Here's my performance of Healing Wars right now at the Kennedy at Arena Stage. Here is, say the work I might be doing with the veterans in their own community. You know, this is the important stuff. Okay, this is okay, but it's not this either. It's not, okay, that veteran stuff's good. I don't know why you're still performing this. It's this, and it's really a circle It's really a circle, and they're right next door to each other. So I want to say we can risk more. It's not as if our systems are working so well now. Right? Thank you. Thank you.
Cece Connor, Chair of the DanceUSA Board of Trustees.
Someone left their glasses, one of you. I just want to say thank you, all three of you. Such inspiring leaders in our field. And your words have really been wonderful tonight. And thank you, all of you in this room, for being here to help us celebrate these three great leaders. Now, so please enjoy dinner, enjoy the rest of the evening, and let's all have a great, great conference. Thank you.